the new Cascadia P4 steering wheel as it applies to the truck. I'll go over the switches with you. On the left hand side you'll see the arrow key that points backwards. That is a menu back key. On the left hand side dial, this switch is to control everything that's on the dash display as you're going to scroll through it. You have a left arrow key, a right arrow, an up key, and a down key that will control and move the blue cursors inside your dash display. The OK button is like the enter key on your computer. So to make a change, you'll press and hold the enter key or the OK button and you'll make your change. Also have a volume control on the left for volume up, volume down for your radio controller. And on the left hand side you'll see you have an answer for your telephone, and you can hang up a telephone call using the Bluetooth wireless inside the truck. You have cruise control, set, decelerate, resume, accelerate, cancel switch for your cruise control, headlight cancel, flash to pass, and we also have a clearance light cancel switch. And this last switch is your vehicle setting switch that you can get quick access to things on your dash display. And of course the horn button is in the center of the truck. First off on the new dash is the home button. As you can see, you have a blue icon at the top that looks shaped like a house, and on the left hand side you have a blue icon on the left hand side that has 3 options to choose from. On the first option of home, I'll go to my left hand button over here to access anything inside it, and first you'll see you can have 2 forms of your mileage. You have your trip miles per gallon, it's 7.9, and it's also on a linear bar graph, and it shows 7.9 miles per gallon as well. You'll also see that they have outside ambient temperature, 71 degrees Fahrenheit, 12.1 is your battery voltage current, and then you also have 44,870 miles. So that's a bit of information that you have on your dash display with home. I go down one page, the blue cursor will move down, and I can see I have a trip segment, and I go down one more page and I have a leg segment. And all drivers, you should be used to the trip and the leg, but on this model, if you reset the trip, and you can see it says to reset, hold OK. If I reset the trip button here, I will automatically reset the leg. I'm going to encourage you to use the leg button to track your miles used per tank full of fuel. Every time you top off with fuel, go ahead and reset your leg. That way you know how far you can go on a tank full of fuel, and you know how many miles you've driven. But that is the leg. I'll go up for the trip, and I'll go back up to home, and you have a lot of information here on your home page. The next one is a steering wheel. As a symbol is your steering wheel for your home page on it. You have a digital readout for your speedometer to go along with your analog on your speedometer. You have 72 degrees Fahrenheit as your informational page, and you also have your mileage readout. I can go down one page and I can access what's called the Detroit Drive Assistant. It uses the intelligent powertrain management. It also uses the your old system would be the On Guard on this. So this is where you're going to be able to track vehicles. You'll see your vehicles approaching speed as you get closer to them or as they go farther away. You can track that through here. It uses the same type of information right there that you did on your On Guard. I'm going to go down one page. Before I do that, you can see it says for settings, press and hold looks like a button that's got index cards on it. Well, that button is on the right hand side of your steering wheel. I'm going to press it, and it's going to bring up some information there as well. That is your Detroit Drive Active Lane Assistant, and you can turn it on or off whenever you want it on and off. It helps keep you guided in your lane. I'm going to back out of that, and you can see the menu back button is an arrow shape going to the left hand side, and it's on the left hand side of your steering column. I'll press that to get out of that information. Then I'll go down one page. Eco Driver Feedback. This is a scorecard that the drivers use, and I don't see it, dispatch doesn't see it, but this is something that you can use to become more friendly with the truck and to drive the truck in a better manner. The higher the score, the better you are at driving the truck. Gentle braking and smooth throttle use are 2 avenues that you use in this. Now you can reset that by pressing and holding OK. Like I said, the higher the number, the better the scorecard. Next page over is a symbol of the truck. Now inside this is going to be some mechanical things that you can help track the truck with. Number one, you can see you have two gauges that are displayed in this one. Typically it's only one, and that is the oil temperature. Not to be confused with oil pressure, but it is the oil temperature. And you can see that it says that it's 90 degrees is your oil temperature, and also have a readout for my air pressure in my airbags, and that's 11 psi. I'll go down one page, and this is where you're going to do your park regen. To perform a park regen in the old truck, you used to have to adjust the gear selector for the transmission and press and release the parking brake. Now the simplicity of this regen is you press and hold OK. And at the bottom you see the blue cursor. It says to start regen, press OK. I will press it. To start the regen, press OK. I'll press it again, and it will not allow me to do the park regen. Why? Because my soot level's good. As you see your soot level starting to rise on your green bar graph, it's going to go farther and farther over to the right to about 60%. Then you're going to get a warning. You're going to get the symbol to come up on your dash. It's going to ask you to do a park regen. When that symbol is flashing, you need to find a place to do a park regen and perform that. It should take 45 minutes to complete. I'm going to go down one page. The only reason for this is the power divider. I'm going to reach to the right and I'm going to press the power divider button, and it lets me know that the power divider is engaged for your rear axles. That locks in the front axle to give you four-wheel drive in the rear. You don't need to engage that on dry roads, and especially not when your tires are already spinning. I will disengage it, and you'll see that the light goes dormant. I'll go down one more page. There's a lot of information here on this page. This is vehicle settings. Another way to get to the vehicle settings is this button that I pressed earlier on the right hand side that looks like index cards. That is a vehicle settings quick reference guide. I'm going to go into hysteresis now to start with, and hysteresis is the over and under speed for your cruise control to allow you to go 5 miles per hour over your cruise control set speed, and this one is set at 4 miles per hour under your cruise control set speed. Why is this here? Well, it will allow you to change the over and under speed that you want your cruise control to be set at. I'm going to press 0 for underspeed because I don't want to lose any power on the hill, and I pressed OK. So I'm going to have that saved each and every driving sequence. When I key the truck on, I'm going to go back in here and turn my underspeed to 0 if I was driving the truck, and I would go to the overspeed and turn that down to 3. So if I had a maximum cruise speed of 65 miles per hour, this will allow me to stop at 68 miles per hour. Next page down is cruise control. And inside the cruise control, we have the active lane assist. It was another way to get to it from the earlier segment that we looked at in cruise control. And I will back out of that one and go to transmission. As I go to transmission, you can see I have two choices here. I have creep mode. I can turn that on or off, creep mode. I can also disable or enable the E-coast, which is when you cruise control downhill and it goes into neutral mode and it lets you coast down the hill. You can deselect that if you'd like to, or you can let it stay on. This also turns on sooner than it did in your old truck. Your old truck would go into E-coast mode only in the downhill portion of your driving sequence. Now it's going to go into coast mode going up the last part of the hill without losing momentum, and you will go into coast mode over the top of the hill and then back down the other side. So it is adapted to do that, to save fuel, to get better fuel economy, and let you go into coast mode just a little bit sooner. Those few seconds that you're not actually adding power to the unit, you're actually saving fuel. And the next is the idle adjust. To idle adjust, I go into idle adjust and I ramp it up or down up to 900 RPM, and it will go up and down. To deactivate it, I press the right arrow key and it will deactivate my ramp up. And last but not least is optimize idle. This is optimize idle, and when I enable optimize idle, the truck will crank on its own, and I will assimilate during this, and you're going to hear the truck crank up on its own. So to enable optimize idle, if I have my transmission still in gear, it will not allow me to go into optimize idle. As you can see, it deselected that, and it's one of the conditions that are not met. So I'm going to put it back into neutral, and you're going to see that it goes back to enable optimize idle. At this time, I'll press OK, and then one more time I'm going to press OK to enable optimize idle, and then you'll see a green light illuminate on the dash with a circle around it. Then it's going to give a warning if the battery voltage is low enough, which this one is. The truck should crank up on its own, and then we will be optimized idle for the next 2 hours. And you see, attempt to start. We're in battery mode, and the optimized idle has started, and the truck is going to run for approximately 2 hours until the battery potential gets up, and then the truck will go back into dormant, into battery mode, and it will stay off for an extended time until the low voltage segment kicks back in at 12.2 volts. But that is optimized idle. You can engage it with the engine running, or you can engage it with the battery mode on with the key on only. It is important in optimized idle to leave the key in the on position. It will not work if the key is off or has been turned off, or you open the hood, or you put it in gear. Pretty simple. Optimized idle is actually a really good feature. The next segment is a symbol of a wrench. As you can see, we have a wrench at the top of the display. The blue cursor is over the wrench. We have 3 selections inside of it. When you have a code, you will get codes in these trucks. You're going to get alerts here. You're going to have the symbol of this triangle with the exclamation point inside it, and it's going to have how many active codes you have inside it. Right now, we have 0 active codes, so we have no codes in this truck. But if I suspect I have a code, I'll go down 1 page. I can press OK to enter. I select enter, and I can see that I have software update highlighted. If we update the software in this truck, we're going to get a warning on here. It's going to tell you I need to update software. When that happens, you're going to have the key off for more than 30 minutes. When the truck recognizes the key is off for more than 30 minutes, it will automatically load the new software that we're putting into the truck without having to have you come by the shop and waste time and have a scheduled date to come into the shop to get your software updated. We can do some small changes while you're driving the truck. Now, if I go down to the acronym ABS, that stands for anti-lock brake system. If I press and hold OK, my truck will try to pull fault information for the ABS system, and you should find that there are no faults, and it says no faults detected. We can do that for each and every one. When there is a fault inside, you're going to see a warning triangle with the exclamation point, the same like that, right beside this acronym, and it'll have a number beside it. I'll have 1 code or 2 codes or 3 codes, however many is inside each of the computers. So we have those on dash display, and you can see that I have 19 computers on board this truck that can throw a fault code. So the ICU just threw a code. I'm going to see what that one is. I'm going to collect that fault information, and it's probably a battery low. That's exactly what those codes are. Those are battery low codes, because right now we need to charge this battery on this truck. And that's about it. You can see that there's a lot here. Next page down. The last one, and not the least, the engine maintenance. We can tell that this truck has 1,184 hours on it, and we use that for maintenance tracking on the engine to schedule certain portions of our service on our trucks. Next is infotainment. We call it with the music note. You can see at the top, the music note signifies that this is entertainment and features inside the truck that we can change as well. And we are trying to guide you in a direction that will keep your eyes focused on the road. As you can see that I can change the volume of the radio up or down on the steering column. I can also change the radio settings while I'm driving down the road, not taking my eyes off the road to the right where the radio is, and I can use my dash display to actually select my radio stations. If I want to go to Sirius XM, if I want to go to an auxiliary port, if I want to just listen to the weather channel, I can do many things through the audio settings, select and deselect through the steering wheel. Next page down is if you have a smartphone and it can connect to our radio, You can connect Bluetooth wireless to the radio, accept phone calls, make phone calls from your truck while driving down the road. FMCSA, Department of Transportation, says that is legal. You cannot have an electronic handheld device in your hand, but you can touch a button. So we can answer a phone call or hang up a phone call here without using our hands on an electronic device. As it works, we connect our phone to the radio, we receive the incoming noise through our speakers of our radio, and we have a microphone directly above our head to the right that will pick up. It's a pretty good microphone. It does pick up pretty good. I won't say that it's a good Bluetooth parrot that some drivers use, but it does work. But that is your infotainment entertainment system inside the truck. Last segment to the right on top of the dash, it looks like a gear with a person inside it. These are informational changes that you can change inside the truck. And I can highlight the first one. It's the dash brightness. When I go into it, you can see that I have a scroll bar left and right, 100% versus 0% as far as dash brightness goes. I'll back out of that screen. I'll go down to lighting. Lighting, I can turn it off, disable it, or I can enable lighting when you open the door to the cab of the truck. I can also control how long that timer stays on for, 45 seconds, 30 seconds, 15, or 0. I will back out to that and go into units of measure. Units of measure, we can go to mile per hour or kilometers. Most people that I know like the mile per hour, so we can leave that alone. Time. Time is another function that we can change. We have a 12-hour clock. We also have a 24-hour clock. It also has a selection for daylight saving time on or off. And then there's a time zone. If you want to, if you're doing a lot of West Coast driving, you want to get it on Pacific Standard Time, you can change that as well. I like to leave these all on Eastern Standard Time unless the driver has a preference that they'd like to change it. Language. This one is not populated, but there is 3 language settings that you can change: Spanish, French, and English. And customized gauges, we've already got 2 loaded up in here. We've got our suspension air pressure when we have our engine oil temperature. And safety systems, we have a traffic sign display. Right now that is NA. On the newer models, the traffic sign display will come up on the dash to let you know what speed zone you are actually coming into. And then we have a side guard assist. That is the new radar on the side of the truck that you're used to on your older truck. It was made by Bendix earlier. Now Detroit Diesel has their own. And not only does it pick up just beside the truck, but it also picks up 53 feet behind you to the back of the trailer when your side turn signal is activated. It picks up any traffic, anything blocking your way on a right-hand turn or a movement to your right. It will give you a warning in the warning triangle on the dash and on the right A-pillar of the passenger side compartment. And that is the first segment, and we'll go down to the next one. And we have gotten an alarm clock built in here for you. I won't say it's very loud, but it is an alarm clock, and you don't have to rely on your cell phone to get you up. You can set your truck to wake you up in the morning. Are the analog gauges on your dash. And as you can see, we have 6 gauges on our dash display. I'm going to start at the bottom left hand corner. You can see that is your engine oil pressure, not to be confused with your oil temperature as we saw before in your electronic display. Up above is the tachometer. To the right hand top, you're going to see your speedometer. Right hand bottom is your water temperature. The 2 new gauges are down bottom, and those are dual gauges. On the left, you'll see it says fuel, and in blue it's written diff. There's a white handle inside there and a blue handle. As far as the handles go themselves in the gauge, it's a dual gauge. The white one tells you that this truck is full of fuel, and the blue one right now is full of diff. Both gauges will go all the way to the red when it is empty. It's not going to go just that. When I first saw it, I thought the blue one only went up just an eighth of a tank. That's not true. It goes all the way over to E when it is empty. And you can look at your primary air and your secondary air on your right hand side gauges, and those do separate your primary and secondary air systems. The white signifies your primary air, the blue is your secondary air. Next is the shifter stalk switch located on the right hand side of your steering column. you'll see the selector has neutral, drive, and reverse for settings. When you apply those, simply press and hold the brake, go to your desired setting, and go back to neutral, put it in neutral. This is also a multi-function switch. I can pull it down to me one click, and I'm in first stage of engine brake. You can see the green light illuminates on the dash. Pull it down 2, you're in stage 2. The dash does not change colors or location, but pull it down one more time and you're in stage 3. So stage 3 is closest to you, stage 1 is farthest away, and then you can push it all the way up to go off with the engine brake. When the engine brake is on, cruise control is taken out of its mode. You cannot operate cruise control with the engine brake on. When you have the engine brake off, you can operate cruise control, but you always need to remember that cruise control and the engine brake are incorporated together. If we need to use engine brake while you're in cruise control, the truck is smart enough to do that. It will operate that together. Next is a switch at the end of the stalk, and you can see that it's got an M and an A on this push button, and I'm going to push it inward toward the dash, and you're going to see the word economy change over to manual. And that's how you change this shifter over to manual mode to drive it like a manual transmission, simply by shifting upwards in the transmission mode. I pulled it toward me 3 times. That would signify that I just went up 3 gears, and I'll push away and I'll go back down in manual mode, and now I'll put it back into neutral. The other switch on here is the same switch, but you operate it differently. I'm going to press and hold again for economy, but the next time I'm just going to bump it. I'll bump it 1 time, and now I'm in performance mode. What performance mode does for your transmission is it allows it to aggressively shift at a higher RPM level to let you pull a hill longer. What it does is it makes your engine rev up higher through the gear band, and it gives you more power on a hill pull, and it lasts for approximately 10 minutes, and it goes back into economy mode after that. So performance mode does work. It does help you pull hills better. It does take advantage of shifting techniques and the transmission's natural ability to handle torque to make a pull better. If you have any issues on this shifter stalk switch, you can look at the right hand side by your right leg, and you'll see a display down here that tells you everything I just told you about the DT12 transmission. Next are the switches on the right hand side of your steering column. These are the switches that you're going to use for interior and exterior operations on things inside the truck. Number 1 is a sleeper dome light. It turns on 12 LED lights in the back of the cab in the bunk area. The next is an ambient light, which you turn that on. It's going to have a ring that lights up above your head in the bunk area. Next is the footwell light. It's going to turn it on. It'll turn on the lights at your footwell at the bottom of near your pedals. Turn that back off. You got your dome light. Turns on 4 LED lights on the front side of the cab curtain. Turn that back off. Of course, you have your 4-way switch. You have the utility light that's going to turn on 2 LED lights at the back of the cab in your work area when you are connecting and disconnecting a trailer. Next is the ATC spin light, which is an automatic traction control. This truck is equipped and always has automatic traction control in the on position. It is always on. You can turn this on, and that turns your ATC off. So now your truck will put full power to the ground, and you will get a warning on the dash that will tell you, caution, truck may spin. So that is your ATC deactivation lane. Next is your lane departure warning, LDW, lane departure warning. Everyone's heard the rumble strips left and right when you get too close to a line. When you press and hold that, it releases the lane departure warning. You no longer hear that tone, but be cautious because it does send a critical event to your fleet leader. They get a warning that you have pressed this button, and when you press that button, it will send that critical event. If they look on the camera and see that you're going through construction, no harm, no foul. Just know that this is here. If it's a nuisance and you're going through a lot of bad construction zone, you can use that to help navigate through that easier. The override switch, it is an engine shutdown override. You need to use this only in emergencies. You can use it to press and hold while the truck is running when your truck shut down due to possibly an overtemp. But remember, it logs in each time you use this switch, and we do not ever want to use this switch if we have an oil pressure situation. You can actually damage the engine at that point. Next switch to the right, HSA off. Everyone's experienced with the older trucks, the hill start aid. It holds the brake on for 4 seconds until you get your foot to the fuel. This, rocking at one time, turns the HSA off. And at this point, with this off, your truck will roll back instantly as soon as you take your foot off the brake. It does not have this hill start aid active when you deactivate it manually here. Next switch over is a really good switch for you guys. It's the light test switch. When I rock it one time, it goes on for 10 minutes. It is going to activate every light outside the cab of the truck, to include the trailer when you are connected to a trailer. So you can do your light test all in one go, all the way around the truck. You don't have to come back in and hit your left turn, your right turn. The light test switch does all of them. It does your high beam, it does your low beam, it does your marker lights, accent lights, turn signals. It does all of them. So it is a really good switch that Freightliner's added in there for us. And I'll turn that off. Next down here is your power divider. I looked at that earlier. I flipped that switch when you saw it come up on the dash. I'm going to press it again now, and you can see that it illuminates a small light in the center of it, and I have locked in my power divider. And when I release it, you're going to hear the air release from the switch, which means that I disconnected the air back at the power divider. The next switch over is the kingpin release switch, and it's a really special switch because it's different than the rest of them. It actually has 4 pieces of safety built into that switch. Number one, you can't accidentally at night hit that switch because it's built differently. It's recessed from the rest of them. Secondarily, when you press and hold it, you have to hold it for more than 3 seconds. I did not hold it for 3 seconds, and I get a warning on the dash that says, please hold for 3 seconds. When I hold it for more than my 3 seconds, I then get my warning popped up on my dash that says you are now disconnected from your trailer. The fourth portion of safety on this is that if you are still actively hooked to your trailer with your 7-way electrical cord, this will not allow you to disconnect your trailer. It will tell you on your dash of your truck, kingpin release not available, disconnect hoses and electrical cords. So there's a lot of safety built into that one switch on your kingpin release. The slide switch has been disabled. We do not move our fifth wheel, but if you want to play with a switch, this is the one you can play with. It doesn't do anything. Next, but last but not least, you have your suspension lower. And when I do press that, I'm going to get an audible tone. It's going to let me know that my airbags are letting the air out of it, and the light illuminates. And then when I'm out from underneath my trailer, then I can simply turn that back on, the noise goes away, and my airbags will re-inflate with air. As you can see on the left-hand door panel, we have multiple switches. You can see the first one is simply, if you've got them on your car, you know what they are. This is the door lock button. It's an electronic door locks. I will caution you though, they are very quiet. If a truck is running beside you or a truck is regenning, it is real easy for you to lock yourself out of your truck. So I always like to tell drivers that, because that button is the closest one to the mirror. If you hit that by accident with your door open, you've locked yourself out. So just be careful with that one. I'm going to go ahead and go to the mirrors. These are automated door window switches. So it is momentary down. You just press it one time and go down, and the window will go down. But there is no safety in here for the glass, so you have to hold it going up. There is no safety pressure switch in there, so it is momentary down but manual up, and you have to hold it to go up. So that works on the passenger and driver's side door. The other switch right here is a mirror heat switch, and that's a pretty cool switch because you rock it on one time and you get 15 minutes of heat on your mirrors, on your left mirror, your right mirror, and both the mirrors on your hood. So if they're covered with frost, you hit that for 15 minutes and you're going to knock all the frost off your mirrors at one time. The switch up above that is a toggle switch that you can do your motor mirror left or right using your left and right movement switches up or down. So it is a good switch. It works well. We haven't had too many issues with those, and it is motor mirrors left and right side. And now we have the fuse locations inside the Cascadia, and they're actually located behind this panel inside something we call the electronics vault. And you have to have fuses in this truck for it to operate, and all of our fuses now have been put inside the cab of the truck. To access them, the word pull is right here inside this gray panel. I'm going to grab that right there, and I'm going to pull, and it will release. And then I'm going to look at this panel right here, and so there's my battery, my fuse cover. I'm going to reach over here, pull those two switches and pull it to me. As you can see, I can see all the fuses inside the fuse block. All the fuses across the top in that straight row are all spare fuses. DOT mandates that we carry spare fuses inside the cab of our truck. Well, Freightliner's done us a good job here. They put spare fuses all the way across the top row. Inside here is the directions on where all those fuses are for location. But as a word of caution, if you take one of these fuses out here, I would like for you to take a picture of the fuse you're going to replace, save that picture for future reference, because when you put the new fuse in, you need to make sure it goes in exactly the place you took it out. Because if you don't, you could put it in the wrong spot and it could sideline your truck. You won't be able to roll. To close this panel back up, simply press here at latch, line this panel back up with the corresponding holes, press it into place, and you're done. Next is the Park Smart in the bunk. This is a real simple solution to our electrical and air conditioning issues. Heat in the winter, cool in the summer. When you have your Optimize Idle enabled, simply come back here, turn this selector switch off of the 0 to any desired volume, and this light will automatically illuminate in your park switch. It's not going to turn on for me right now and stay on because I'm not in Optimize Idle. But then at that point, you're going to set your temperature where you want it, set your volume of air, go ahead and take your temp. You're going to be fine. Park Smart has been a really good addendum to this truck along with Optimize Idle. To turn it back off, simply turn the knob all the way over to the 0 and it turns off your Park Smart system.